Hi, I'm Catherine from Catherine Learn Stuff. Today I'm going to walk you through how to make some custom designed composition books. We're going to learn how to make some covers and some backings for them. And I'm going to walk you through how to do that in Canva. I'll teach you how to do it using the free version as well as the pro version, where you can use their AI generator to make some of these cute little images. So let's jump over to our workstations and get this project started. When we are working with these composition books, the thing that you need to know is the size. I know, so this one here I have, give me a size of 9 3/4 inches by 7.5 inches. And I'm just going to show you here that this 7.5 inches is actually to the edge of the page here, right? Pretty much. So, and then this 9 3/4 again is all the way down. The 9 3/4 being the same is not a problem, but this size here is really what we want, because we want to be able to leave this black portion on of the spine visible when we cover up the composition book. So really what you want to do with this is you want to figure out you're going to give yourself a little bit of coverage here, so that in case you place this wrong, you'll have the black still covered. But we're going to need to go about 7 inches, I would say, for this type of book. Now every book is going to be different, and not every book is going to give you the size on it. But I'm going to be having my width is 7 inches, and then I'm going to go 9 3/4 inches on the length, because that's actually where sort of it falls in, and I'm going to want to cover the whole thing. And the same will be going for the back of the book. Alright, so we're going to quickly walk through making a composition cover for our composition books. So we're going to quickly open canva.com, and I'm going to show you how to make a design using just the free version of Canva in case you don't have the pro. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to jump over to our custom size, and we're going to select a custom size. Now I've already pre-done this, but you can just put this in here, but make sure you change it to inches first before you change the size, and then type in width of 7 and oops, we need to do inches first. I just said what we were supposed to do. Change this to inches, then change this to 7, and this to 9.75. This is the size of my composition book. If you change the dimensions your sizes will get all messed up. So we're just going to make sure that you change the dimensions first, and we're going to click create. Now here we have a blank piece of paper the size of our composition book. So the first thing that you want to do is we're going to go into elements here, and I'm just going to be looking at free elements because that's kind of the idea that I want. So anything that has like a crown is not a free element, but if you're using the free version, you'll see this quickly. So we're just going to look for puppy wallpaper, for example, and we're going to expand this, and we're just going to scroll down here and look for something that doesn't have a crown next to it. So let's maybe look at this one here. That's not puppies. They're lying to me. Let's go dog wallpaper. Get rid of this. That's not wallpaper. So this one here is free. So if we wanted the composition to look like this, or let's see if there's cats. Well, let's do these cats. These cats are good. They're less... Anyways, we're going to use the cats just so that we have something. And I'm going to line this up at the edges of my page here and stretch it out. Now you'll notice that I go a little bit beyond the bottom here, and that's okay. So this is going to be the front page of our composition book. The next thing that you want to do is you want to bring in an element, and all we want to do is get a rectangle. If I could type, that would work. And I'm going to put this kind of in the middle of my box here. I'm going to use my sort of the lines that show up on Canva to move it to the center of the book. And I kind of want this in the center here. And I'm going to change the color from this pink that I've got to something that kind of, let's do it like that. And that's going to be where my name is going to go. I'm going to select text next. I'm going to add a header, and I'm going to put a name in, and we'll do Fiona. And I'm going to move the name up to be centered on this box. And now I have a cover for my composition book. If I want to add a back page, I can just pull that in, or I should have just duplicated it. Let's delete this. And I'm just going to duplicate this, and I have a back page. I'm going to take off these, and then I would print this off as my back cover. Once you're happy with this design, now this is a free design from Canva, right? So you can use a bunch of other free designs. You can just search around for what they have. So anything that doesn't have the crown on it, sort of this crown here, you can use for free. And then you're going to select share, and you're going to download this. And the important thing is that you do not want to download this as a PNG, because if you download this as a PNG later when you're printing this, this is not going to print out the size that you want. you're going to go down to PDF standard or PDF print, whichever one you prefer. They both do the same thing. And you're going to download this. And this is going to save on my computer, and then I will be able to use this. So this is the one option. The next thing that we're going to do is I'm going to go back to Canva. I'm going to close this off, and I'm going to go into this Canva AI. And so now we're going to learn how to use the Canva AI to make an image for us. So I've done a bunch of these, but we're going to do this from scratch anyways. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to select create an image. And I've already created a bunch of images in the past, so I've got sort of some ideas of what we can do here. And I'm just going to copy this because I've got this already from before, but it says I'm making a composition book cover. The dimensions are 7 inches by 9.75 inches. I would like to have a name box space on it, and the color scheme is blue. Please make a cute puppy cover for me. So let's change this to purple. And since we did cats on the last one, let's do cats here. Cute cat cover. Okay, and let's press go. And now it's going to think for a moment. Okay, something is not right. We want to change this to 4x3. And we're going to redo this again. So I didn't change this, so it didn't listen to my dimension size. So I'm going to do 4x3, 3x4 here. It'll kind of work out for me. All right, so now we have some ideas. Now, the important thing that I want to point out to you is you have to make sure that you are reading what the words say here that the AI is generating for you, because oftentimes these words make no sense, like happy with 3 P's, hapic maybe, book. So that makes no sense. This book, again, this makes no sense. I mean, the picture is really cute. And so I've done a whole bunch from before, and you can pick any one that you like. I'm going to redo this one more time, same one, and just give us a better example of what to do. Now, I find that when you have an image that you like, if something doesn't work on it the way that they've written it, like here it says Nate book, that's sort of silly. Composition notebook, right? These are things that we got to watch out for. But this one is cute and this one is cute. So we're just going to go on this one. If I select the edit button, this will bring us into our notebook area. And so our canvas area, which is where we can work on this. So in a moment, we'll get back to this, but I'm just going to go back to this one here. If I click on just the button here, I can go back here and it said, like, what would you like to change? So this is really tricky because every time I find that it's not, I'm asking for it to change something, it does a massive change. So let's say add the name Fiona into the box. Let's see what happens. Now I'm going to try to add the name Fiona into the box, and we're going to see that it's going to provide me with something. Oh, it actually worked this time, sort of. It's a different cat. It's a bit of a different layout, right? So it's not the same thing. So just be aware of that. So we're not going to worry about this one here. We're going to go back over to the one that we opened and we saved. So this is the AI generated one. Now, there's a few things that we're going to do. Before I do anything, I'm going to duplicate this page. And this is going to be the back cover, which we'll deal with in a few moments. Next, we're going to add in a text. We're going to, again, put a header. We're going to add Fiona, if I can type, and we're going to move this sort of into the center here. I'm going to make this bigger, and I'm going to change the color on it to kind of match the, we're going to do the darker, let's do the darker color. And I want to, if I want to change the text, I can just pick like, there, that's kind of cute. And we're just going to stretch it and make it. Now, this is the front cover, so this is good to go. On the back cover, we don't need this like thing here. And so what I'm going to do, instead of going back to Canva where it's going to change the image, I'm actually going to just stretch this. I'm going to stretch this out so that it fits like without my little box. So I'm going to put it kind of like this. And now I've got the same design, same color scheme, same cat, but it's just the cat and there's no composition box. And even though this is sort of a composition box title, even though right here we have this little divot from the name box, it doesn't really stand out as something like that. It kind of looks like some of the speckles. All right, so once this design is ready, there's one last thing that we need to do, because right now this is sort of designed to be on a 4x3 or 3x4 layout. And this isn't going to print out 100% perfectly the way that we want to. So what we're going to do is we're going to select the resize button, and we're actually going to select a size. We're not going to choose one of these, we're going to select all, and we're going to look for 8.5 by 11, because this is the size of paper that we're going to print it off on. So we're going to select that, and it's going to create a new design, and we're going to open the document. Now, here you're going to notice this is taking up like the whole design. Oops, I want to grab both the name and the file. I'm going to change this to, remember, here at the side it's showing the numbers that it is. We wanted it to be 7 by 9 3/4. So if I go down to 7, it's going to be just a little bit smaller than 9 3/4 month height wise. So I'm going to try to go to 9.8, and the 7.3 there that we have, can't sort of show it at the same time, that's going to be the edge that we can trim off here or here when we're putting this onto our book. So that's okay because we had some extra space there. We need to do the same thing on this page here. So we want to kind of trim it down a little bit as well so that it's not taking up the whole space of the page. And I'm just going to pull this in here so that this actually makes it just a bit smaller so that we can make this the size that we want, so that we're not wasting too much ink. So we want it to be 9.75, so let's go 9.8. Let's go there, and then we can bring this in to 7 and have this like this. So now this is more of the size that we need for our composition book. Now this edge has a rounded edge on it. If you want to get rid of that, double click on the picture and move it over a little bit to get rid of that edge there, and you can have it like this with less design here. So this isn't going to waste as much ink for us, but we need to make sure that we've resized it, because as I showed you before, this otherwise will be on a piece of paper that's full size, and you'll need to trim a lot of edges, and you're not necessarily going to have it to be the right size that you need for your composition book. So we're going to save this now. We're going to download this, and we're going to make sure that's not a PNG, that it's a PDF so that we can save it, and we're going to save this to our computer. Now, I quickly want to just walk through something with you so that we are on the same page here, because this is going to get a little bit tricky for us if we're not paying attention. This is the design that we've sort of eyelined on for one of my children. And when you have this design, we've already sort of preset this to be the sizes that we want. Fantastic. We're going to select print, and we're going to take a double check to make sure that we are printing this the right way. Now, you'll notice here that this is coming out as the full sheet of paper almost. Now, every printer that you use or every print program that you use will show this up differently. So I've opened this up. I just sort of clicked on the file and opened it up, and it opened up in Microsoft Edge, because I don't have like the PDF, Adobe PDF on my computer. So this opens it up like this. You'll notice there is a little bit of edge here, and you'll notice that this is going the full way. But remember, when we measured our book was 7 by 9 3/4. So this is an 8.5 by 11. So this is going to be way too big for our book. So this is something that you need to pay attention to. So I'm actually going to go back into my folder here, and I'm just going to pull this up here. I'm going to click the file, and I'm actually going to right click and open it with Google Chrome. And now this is going to open here into this file. Now I'm going to select print again, and you're going to notice a difference here. I'm going to put this one here that you can see it. Now you're going to notice that this is actually coming out in the size that we need. You're going to notice there's a lot of white space here and a lot of white space here, and that's good because this is 8.5 by 11, right? So we want it to be 7 by 9 3/4. So that's perfect. Now there might be a smidgen extra here, which is fine, because we need to make sure that this fits on the size that we want. Now, what I recommend is that you do a test print on regular paper with your ink to make sure that this prints the way that you want, because you don't want to waste printer sticker paper on this if you are using sticker paper, right? Like we're using sticker paper, we don't want to waste that stuff because it costs money, it's expensive. Regular printer paper will show you the size so that you can actually see if it fits. So with this, you'll print this off as a standard piece of paper. So I quickly wanted to show you the difference here that we talked about when I was at my computer. This was a PNG that was printed off. Even though that I had sized it at the right size, when I printed it off on regular paper, it came out as this full sheet design. So I needed to save it as a PDF so that I could actually have it come out as the right size that I need, so that it'll actually be the same size as my composition book. Okay, so the printing paper that I'm using is this stuff. This is the Koala inkjet sticker paper. It's got like a gloss to it, so when I was printing on this, I made sure to have my glossy setting on the printer set. And then to cover up my designs, what I'm going to use is I've got this holographic paper, and this comes in like a 4-pack of different designs. It's got just the plain holographic. I like this one the best from all the times that I've used these stuff. You got like these stars on this one. You've got... there's supposed to be 4 in here. Why isn't there 4? Oh, there we go. There's this like confetti stuff, and then these like dots. I find these dots are super busy, so I don't like to use them because it makes it really hard to see the design. So on the fronts of the books, I think I'm going to go like the stars and the confetti just to like have it spiced up. And then we'll see on the back, I might do plain, or maybe I'll do plain on the front. We'll see. But this is the stuff that I'm using, and I've left a link below to all this stuff on in the video. So if you want to buy the same stuff, you can find it there. Now I've gone ahead and I've printed these off. And so I told you before, I did the test print and I walked you through that, how that looked. So this is the size that I've got. So what I'm going to do with each of these is I'm actually going to cut this to a smaller size first. And so this is just so that I've got the design to the actual size that I need it. I gotta do this the other way so I can actually cut this along the straight edge. I was doing a test run earlier and I messed up the whole design and it didn't cut straight. It didn't get the holographic on straight. It was all just a disaster and a half. So I need to make sure that I'm lining this up so that this cuts properly. Now, this design left a little bit of a brown line at the bottom, but that's okay. Any extra that I have, I will be cutting off later if I need to. So I think on the fronts, actually, I'm going to do maybe the plain holographic. I'm going to do the plain holographic on the front. So the first thing that I want to do when I'm setting this up is I need to pull back this front layer, the backing on this holographic layer. Now I'm going to pull back like maybe an inch, and I'll show you why in a minute to why I do this, because I need this to be sticky. I know that doesn't make sense because of course it's supposed to be sticky. It's a holographic sticker, but this will make sense in a moment. I'm going to place this guy here, and I want to make sure that my design, whoops, this is going to move around on me for a second. I want to make sure that my design is covered up at the back and straight around, but I want to have enough here so that this is going to actually stick to my table and to the design before I start to peel it, so that I've got actually some adhesion on both of this. This is going to help me put my pull this across. If this isn't sticking here, the paper underneath is actually going to start to slide all over, and it's going to make it very difficult to pull this paper off and have it go on straight. And so I'm just going to slowly pull this paper back while pushing forwards with this. And this squeegee has like a velvety, felty thing here so that it doesn't scratch the design too much. And I just want to go really slowly, and I want to go kind of like making sure that I'm not getting any air bubbles. Now I did one of these earlier and I had so many air bubbles in it I wanted to cry, but that's okay. That's how we learn, right? So I'm just gonna go slowly. I'm probably gonna fast forward this in my video so that you're not watching me kind of like mess this up, but I'm going to do this on all of my books, all the covers. Now I've had this extra here around it so that it will actually hold my design in place, because I don't want it moving, because if it moves, it's gonna have bubbles. Now, I'm already far enough along that I shouldn't have bubbles, but I'm not going to risk it, because supplies can be expensive if you use them the wrong way. All right, so now this is all done. I have a smidgen of a bubble here, but oh well, it's good enough. So now this is done. I'm gonna pull up my paper cutter again. Where did it go? And I'm gonna cut off this surplus. Now, I want to just point out, notice how this isn't actually, I didn't put it on straight. So that's why I like to leave the extra on here so that I can actually make sure the whole thing gets covered with the design that I need. And now I'm just going to cut this with my paper cutter one piece at a time. It's a little bit tricky cutting this with the paper cutter because this is sticky underneath, but that's okay. And if you're working on multiple of these at a time, I recommend you keep the extras hidden far away so that they don't get stuck onto by the stickiness like mine are doing, because I don't want to have to redo this. All right, so this one is now ready. All right, so this one is now ready to go. I've got my composition book, and I have, doesn't matter what one you have, and this is going to go on sort of like this. And again, what we're going to do is we're going to do the same type of peeling method that we did, but this time I'm not actually going to start off at by holding onto the table. I'm just going to pull back the sticker paper cover, and then we're going to try to do this very gently and very carefully because I don't want to mess this up. Now, again, it's going to be like a, if I could get this to peel. I'm going to pull off like 1 inch at the back here, and I'm going to fold it on top of it, like over itself like this. And I'm going to line up my composition book so that I've got this whole thing covered. I'm going to have a little bit of seam here at the end, and I'm going to line this up so that this covers the edge here. And when I'm happy with the way that it is, making sure that it's sticking up here, I'm going to stick this down. Now you can see here, maybe you can see it through the camera, there's a little bit of extra. That's okay. We're going to cut that off so that there is no extra later, but this is going to cover the whole book. Now again, we're going to do the same method that we did before. We're going to pull this back slowly and cover the whole book. Now this one shouldn't matter too much with the bubbles if you get any, because the bubbles are going to be hidden under the sticker paper, and the sticker paper is colored with the design that we have. Now if you don't have holographic paper, you don't need to use holographic paper on this. It's just providing an extra layer of protection on top of the design that you have. I'm going to just give this a good squish everywhere, and the one with the squeegee with the fabric on it just kind of makes it easier to hold into place. All right, so now this is on, but when we open up the book, you're gonna notice there's a smidgen of an edge, especially around the corner here, and the same thing around the corner here. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my knife and I'm going to cut that off so that there's no excess edges. So when I'm going to be doing this, I'm actually going to tape this book down. Now I'm just using painter's tape because it comes off easily, but this is going to hold the book steady for me so that it doesn't move around, because I don't like it when the things move, because when they move, then they don't get cut properly and they don't get cleaned up nicely. So we're just going to get my thing here, and I'm just going to slowly cut this off. Okay. And this edge, I'm just going to slowly cut along the edge here. I need to go a few times because I got to go through the sticker paper and through the holographic. And then I'm going to do the same thing at the bottom. Now the side doesn't need anything because I lined it up perfectly, and the bottom has almost nothing, but I'm still going to do it because I don't want any leftover on this, because if I leave any leftover, it's going to give it a spot to peel, and we don't want it peeling. Now I'm using the ruler to help me, but in theory I could have just followed the edge of the book. All right, there, that's done. Now I'm going to pull my painter's tape off without ruining my book, and I have a front cover. So now the back cover of this book is going to get this. So I'm going to quickly do this one, and I'm going to finish all the other books as well, and then we will have a final look at them all. All right, so now the books are all finished. I've got front and back covers on each of them. Something that I just wanted to point out, when I was doing these books, I should have tried to line it up a little bit off because I was going to be trimming the edges anyways. So like on this one here, you can barely just see the red underneath it. But I did try to always color coordinate it. So like this one was red, this one was blue, and this one was blue as well. So that if I was coming off of the edges, I was going to be hiding that bit anyways. But that's just something to keep in mind when you are doing this. Also something I realized after the fact, when I was working with this image in Canva, this is just half of this image here, and I put a black line on the side here so that it would kind of look like it belonged with the binding of the book. I forgot to push the picture over a little bit more to get rid of that, so that's why that's there. And the last thing that I did with these books after I finished them and cleaned them all up, I pressed them with my squeegee a bunch more around the edges, like at where the seam is, and all these edges here, to make sure that the sticker actually sticks. And so I've now let them sit for 24 hours so that the sticker can stick maybe hopefully better. They've been squished as well, so just like squished like this under a book for a while so that they got extra adhesion on the covers so that they stay. And now I have a whole bunch of books for my kids, and hopefully they like them, and now they're not just boring books. And so there you go. And there you have it. We've successfully made custom designs for our composition books. We've got a front and a back cover for each of our books. If you've enjoyed this project, be sure to check out this video here that YouTube thinks is the next thing that you should be watching. If you did try this project, let me know how it turned out. Did it turn out good? Did it turn out bad? Do you have any suggestions on how to make it better? Let me know in the comments below. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel by hitting the little subscribe button down below. Thanks so much. Happy crafting!